Energized show, up the Irish.
Okay, what's going on, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Energized, brought to you by Forged Irish Stout. Ross,
are you intoxicated or something?
Introduce the guest, man.
Today, we are bringing two of the most famous faces in Irish sports, as the Energized show does. We have head coach of Team KF, it's Mr. Chris Fields, and the head coach of Fight Academy Ireland, it's Liam Shannon. Lads, how are we doing?
You go first, mate.
I'm doing really well, yeah.
Yeah,
that's my
great,
fault. I should have asked you one after the other.
Yeah.
But, as I disappear in and out of the screen, my green screen's playing friendly with me. But we shall carry on anyway. Chris, tell us this. What did you make of Cage Warriors Dublin? You've been a part of many. You fought on the Cage Warriors promotion. You've been the champion there. How did you think that fared up against ones of the past and, you know, ones of present, obviously not being in Ireland?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like stigma, or stigma's the wrong term, but like I think there's a lot attached to the old fights. So I think there's this idea that, like, you know, it was the greatest atmosphere ever, because I think like everything in life, you remember it better than it was a lot of times. You know, they were amazing shows back in the day, but I feel like that kind of blew a lot of them out of the water. The response from the crowd when all the guys from both teams are walking out, you know, the kind of the ravenous of them, like for the fights, and it felt like, I don't know, it felt different. It felt like a lot of people there understood the sport. That's what it felt like. You know, they actually they were fans of the sport itself.
Yeah, I definitely got that feeling. Obviously, like, there was shots from Mike Hogan and Bellator and stuff like that, and I thought that was really petty. I thought that was sort of singing to a level that didn't need to be sung to. Look, I think every promotion has its place, and I think Cage Warriors knows exactly what it does, and it does it brilliantly. And I was delighted to have it in Dublin, and it was great to be back there. Liam, what was your take on the? Oh, go on.
Sorry, I just think like there's a like. You know, if you look at the fights that were on that Cage Warriors card and the fights that both of our teams had, and, you know, myself and Liam, there's always a mad mutual respect between us. And me and him are good friends too. But it's like it's our teams leading the way at the minute. You know, our teams are the guys leading the way. And I feel like if you look at the fights that took place, they're high stakes fights. That's the difference. This is sport. It's not entertainment. It does cross over, but it's sport. And it's like there's lads fighting like real fights. They're not showing up to get wins and handed wins or any of that kind of stuff. They're real fights that are going on, and they're important. You know what I mean? And it's totally different animal than a lot of other teams, I feel.
Yeah, I think the best are pitted against the best 99% of the time, and I feel like you said, each fight matters on the card. We were only saying that, like, obviously it was a busy night for us in the back as well, trying to interview every single person under the sun, and we were saying, like, we're looking up the card as we normally do when we're at the events. We're like, right, who do we want to interview? And we're like, right, 14 fights, 14 interviews. That's what we want. You know what I mean? So like, I was like, this is probably not going to be as much fun as we want it to be, but like, great for Irish MMA, and what's good for Irish MMA is good for the Energized show. So we love that, and vice versa. So it was an incredible night. Obviously, Shando, you had a good few boys fighting for in total, and obviously Reece McKee was in the main event. What did you make the show? And obviously you didn't get to relax until it was all over.
Yes, well, again, it's exactly what Chris was saying. Like the show, it brings something different, you know what I mean, to the Ireland in general. It is like close fights, like ours, like Ran and Tabas. Like that's a high stake fight for the featherweight eliminator, you know what I mean? And like up to the last round, it was Ran's fight to lose, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, it didn't go his way. But these are real fans turning up to watch and support the guys. I think Cage Warriors don't really do themselves any justice by maybe under promoting it, because these are, I think, one of the best shows they can use in Europe. But what I call it, it's just a different animal, completely different animal. Like as you say, we've got a lot of guys fighting, like sort of some wins, some losses the other night and all. Like Ryan Curtis is very unlucky. I thought he was looking really, really good, and until obviously what happened, he caught the bulldog choke. But I guess for him and his career, it's a high stake fight. It's not just some guy they're bringing over from the middle of nowhere to get an absolute pasting, you know what I mean? Like, we know what's at stake. We're taking hard fights, same as Chris, because like we're looking the roll of dice and try and get to the next level. Like, we'll get guys come back with Kane McClurkin, come back a few years out. His last fight was Christian Leroy Duncan. I know it, basically what I said, and he was obviously talking to yourselves, was like, the last thing I said to him was, there is no tomorrow. You could beat here. That's it. Forget about it. You know what I mean? He has all that riding on his shoulders, and I'm putting that pressure on him to let him know that this is like a win or bust situation. And that's what we're here for. We're all in, same as Chris and his guys, and they're real genuine fights. And I think the show Cage Warriors crosses over to the general MMA fan, rather than just a night out for the support their mate. You know what I mean, basically?
Yeah,
I'd agree, lads. Like, obviously myself and Ross, and I'm sure you do as well, watch all the big shows, and this one, in the build up to it, we were saying, is like our UFC Dublin, like just the names on the card, like everyone is building towards the UFC. Some of them maybe want to go to PFL or Bellator, but like in the atmosphere itself, like Chris, you were obviously at the last UFC when Connor took on Diego Brandao. Did you have a feeling that, like, in the atmosphere, it was sort of like a UFC event, or like what way did you sort of see it?
Yeah, it's like a smaller UFC event, I suppose. It's I think that's what Cage Warriors try to do anyway. That's they know, like, they've kind of set their stall out as they're that, and you can see had that like ravenous kind of environment when the lads came out to fight. You could feel like, even obviously the same as Shannon, though, I was busy all night, so I literally only got to come out and watch for Reese's fight, and you could feel the crowd building with him as he's going to, the fight starting to go his way. You can feel the crowd building with him, and I could feel the same when I was in the corner with Ryan. You can feel, and then almost boom, total deflation when the fight didn't go Ryan's way. The whole room empties almost. All the air gets sucked out. But Maleem's the same as me, man. I want those UFC nights in Dublin, and I want it to be our teams. Like, I think we deserve that. I think we put the effort in to have that, and we're going about it the right way. And you can see it. You can see what we're all doing. And me and Liam kind of have a thing that, like, we're not big fans of our guys fighting each other at pro, unless it's something major. But we kind of. We iron sharpens iron at amateur, so the lads compete a lot at amateur, and then that brings them into the pro ranks. And then, unless it's like a big UFC fight or something like that, well, then obviously we'll compete. But I think we're all building towards that, and I think I'm looking forward to the time that me and Shannon were like there out the back, and it's a UFC show, that kind of way. And I'm looking forward to it, like.
Yeah, I don't think it's too far in the near future as well. Like, obviously, Caelan Loughran won the weekend. Like, he must be very, very close to the UFC fight. If not, his next fight might be in the UFC. Obviously, like, Paul Hughes on the cusp of signing, and then like Rhys McKee, 13 wins, 13 finishes, undeniable. And I just feel the more stars we get in the UFC, then that will bring on the next crop of talent, like your Ryan Shelley's, like your Leon Hills, Paddy McCurry after his win at Cage Warriors, like, you know what I mean? Like, that was absolutely sensational. And then obviously the other lads in Cage Warriors, like Alex O'Sullivan, like, he got it done in one. Adam Darby looked really good after his comeback. Not forgetting Omran Shaban as well. He's looking hot in the welterweight division. I feel like James Sheen was maybe a game plan issue against Oban, but credit where credit's due. Oban won a great fight there. But like, the next wave of talent is unbelievable out of the Irish in Cage Warriors, and you have to really see, like, in 2 or 3 years down the line, like, Ireland's probably going to have more UFC fighters than they've ever had before. Would you guys agree with that? We'll start with yourself, Liam.
Yes, I've actually had this conversation literally about an hour and a half ago. I was taking Big Paddy on the pads, and we're just saying, like, the level, like, compared to when I trained them, probably Chris is the same. When we trained, like, we were going around individual coaches and paying 5 or 6 different memberships to gyms and this and that and all, and trying to make it work. Where now, like, we've learned so much, and the sport has came on tenfold, and the talent going behind the guys, the amount of, like, people in our gym who are coming behind the Paul Hughes or, like, say, the Rhys McKees or all these boys opening up, they're going to open up the doors. They're going to build the connections, and hopefully let the people who make these decisions, they give the first wave the opportunity, that they'll realize, well, who else have you got here behind you? Because that's literally all. We just need 1 or 2 guys from Ireland to open the door for the rest of the guys in Ireland. And as you say, like, so like Alexander Sullivan and James Sheen and Adam Darby, and there's loads coming in behind him from other clubs. That as Chris was saying, that we're trying to lead the way and trying to open these opportunities, which in turn will open up for the rest of the guys coming through. And by then, I'm hoping to have maybe 20, 25 guys ready to go, like, to be honest. And I know Chris is the same. He's building up his pro team. And again, he just needs that wee jewel in the crown to get him in. Like, obviously, years ago, it was a different whole climate, you know what I mean? Obviously, with Conor McGregor, but they had the Gunnar Nelson just before it, who was a massive star when he fought in Cage Contender. You know what I mean? They were selling his pay-per-views back to Iceland even before MMA was really big. That's what got SBG in, and then the Conor McGregor, and then who else have we got? And obviously the Chris and the Cahals and the Artem Lobovs, they all follow suit. So, like, so somebody, it could be anyone, it could be Cian Lochner, it could be Paul, it could be Reese, it could be anyone to get in, even someone outside that. And then once they go on that level, and they'll go, hold on, this Ireland has a real high level here. And then they might look more at the guys who are participating in Ireland and giving them opportunities. Because I have, like, watching the fights aren't the UFC fights, like, I have no fear of anyone in that top 15 for Paul Hughes at all, like, in that, in the absolute slightest. You know what I mean? He could walk in there and be in the top 10 and win 2 fights.
Yeah, I think we need more bodies in there to send the elevator back down, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly the through the rope back down, and it could be somebody from Chris's team. It could be someone. It just needs the door open, and then when the foot's in the door, the rest of the boys will come through, and they're like slow burners. They're slowly building their weapons, and they're building their careers, and then they get there, and hopefully when they get there, they'll not have 1 or 2 fights and then be cut. They'll be there for a career. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like, fingers crossed, not only will we get more bodies in the UFC, but like, obviously London has this European stronghold over the UFC at the moment. Like, they love going to London, and like, London's great and all that, but like, we need to claw them back here to Dublin. Like, anytime we speak to the UFC brass, we're straight on them, like, you have to come to Dublin. You have to come to Dublin. You know what I mean? Like, now, why would they listen to you?
Yeah, I think the problem.
Like,
I think the problem with that is that, like, the main guy from Ireland, obviously at the moment, is Conor, and he's too big to be in Dublin. So we need Paul and Reese and those boys to get in, and then it'll be dragged back through them, you know, because they can definitely headline a fight night, or they can be on a fight night and sell the tickets, and then like all that does is like say Paul got a fight in the UFC. If he's stuck for a couple of bodies, or he wants a few extra new bodies to train with, Ryan and stuff are going to go up with him. They're only going to benefit from that. Everyone's only going to benefit from that. Do you know what I mean? The lads are going to get better. Like I said, it's not a matter of like Paul and Ryan fighting each other. Some of that was going to happen. It's way down the line anyway. It's not even thought of. You know, kind of way. It's like being part of a UFC camp is going to benefit everyone. You know, and then a lad falls out and there's a featherweight fight, and this guy's been helping your whole camp. He's the perfect guy to step in. This is how it works. Like, you know.
Chris, like, obviously Ian's competing this weekend, and I look at Ian and I look at Conor, the only 2 Irish lads in the UFC, and the difference is that Conor said, if one of us goes to war, we all go to war, and like, he brought everyone in. And then I saw Ian was on PT Carroll's podcast, and then PT said, who does he think would be next in? And he only really said Paul Hughes, and that's it. Like I don't think that really helps the Irish scene when the person who's in there and the most active Irish fighter in the UFC isn't really saying, like,
he's not sending the elevator back down, Baz. Is that what you're saying?
The elevator is not going back down. Like, even Danny McCormick and Victor, like, we have 3 Cage Warriors champions. Like, the more you go on about who's next, the more they're going to be like, right, all these names, come on aboard.
Yeah, I think an issue might be, like, you know, he isn't training in an Irish gym. He's not based in Ireland. So, like, he doesn't, not that he doesn't have an affinity to Ireland, he's Irish. So, like, of course he does. But I mean, as in, he doesn't have an affinity to Irish fighters or an Irish gym. So, like, his team is putting guys in all the time. He doesn't feel the need to have to drag them in. You know, that kind of way.
Yeah, I suppose.
I think it does sort of affect the scene, though. But I mean, like, you can't really rely on other people for you to progress your career. You sort of have to grab by the balls and go by yourself. And now there's 4 Irish world champions at the moment.
Yeah,
it's great. It's all right saying, like, you just gotta do your own thing, but it's being in the right place, the right time, and the right opportunity. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. So that you just always got to be ready for that opportunity. What I call, and it's not about being like the best. Yes, sometimes the best fighters don't get to the UFC, and the best fighters don't get sometimes it's all about chance and luck and being in the right place at the right time. And I think we're doing everything to just hopefully that chance does appear soon. You know what I mean? That we can't take it. But I know, like in the past, obviously, like as I said before, we don't want to be the token guy on a European show. We want to be on our own merit. I think the level, to be honest, now of competitors in Ireland is the highest it's ever been for many years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
MMA in general is such a, even amateur levels. It's like very high level in Europe. Never mind. But I feel that it's just sometimes people say that to me all the time, going, "I know, but you just gotta keep on pushing, doing what you do." It's frustrating because we know we're ready. You know what I mean? I know a couple of guys, the Chris guys are ready and all. It's just we just gotta keep on this road and just be determined that it's going to happen. It's going to happen because we're ready.
Yeah, I think ideally the UFC would do more European shows. I think the lack of European shows are what's hurting the European scene in terms of fighters getting to the UFC. I think because they tend to just do the London shows and they have so many UK fighters already, like that card's nearly full before it's announced. As opposed to if they did 3 or 4 European cards, there'd be far more opportunity. Because like from a business standpoint, you sign a Reece McKee or you sign the LFA champion. The LFA champion's already in the States. You know what I mean? You're just flying them across country and you're putting up. It's obviously cheaper from a business standpoint to do that, but like at the end of the day, someone like Reece McKee has got to the stage now where he's undeniable. Like to me, he's what the UFC are looking for. They want finishers, there's a finisher. You want a Cage Warriors champion, there's a Cage Warriors champion. Like he ticks all the boxes. I know there was that narrative after Paul beat Jordan that was like, oh, it was a decision, but like that fight could have been stopped in the 3rd, it could have been stopped in the 4th, and no one would have batted an eyelid. Like he's fighting a UFC level guy in Jordan Vucenic, and like he beat him from pillar to post. And I love Jordan Vucenic. I think he's one of the nicest guys in the game. But that's how the fight went down. And like, are you telling me because the ref didn't actually step in and stop that fight, that like that fella shouldn't get a UFC contract? Because that just seems farcical at this stage.
Yeah, but see, that's like obviously we always hear that through third parties going, you need to get a stoppage, or you need to do this. Like that's a load of crap. Like to be honest, like I know like when the UFC went to France last year, that a few Cage Warriors show previously before that was to build guys to get to the UFC in France, and namely likes of Mary Penn-Lactar and Morgan Sherry, and all, they were all prime, ready, one more win, UFC is going to Paris, this is your opportunity. Know what I mean? And it didn't work out for them like that. Know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying about not necessarily being the most deserving person in, it's just that the chips fell the right way for them. Know what I mean? So as you said, mostly London-based fighters, or English-based fighters, or whatever, British. And if it show came to Ireland, then of course they would have seen a few Irish guys. That's just the way it is. But they're not going to go out. So they're not going to come to Ireland anytime soon. So we have to take the scraps and hopefully take. I mean, like Paul was offered a few fights on the UFC in London card at late notice, but it didn't suit us. He was carrying an injury and it was a wrong weight division. Just things didn't add up. And to be honest, I don't think we deserved to just jump in at the last minute for Paul or for any Irish fighter to be just a kind of like a flyby. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the same with them.
Do you think UFC 288? Yeah, Ross, can we just go back to that in a second? UFC 288 is going to be in Boston, and like everyone knows how many Irish are going to will be there and like live there. Do you think that'll be a perfect opportunity for the likes of Reece, a Caelan, a Danny, and a Paul to get onto that card and really like put a huge Irish audience on that card?
Wait, Chris.
Yeah, like so. Obviously, I was there the last time we had a big Irish contingent in Boston. All the boys were fine on it, Cottle and all those lads, and Connor and I think Paddy Hoolan was on that card as well. We had a big crew with that one.
He did a walk around with Ariel, didn't he? Well, talk about tea or something.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. The Boston Tea Party. But that's obviously a smart idea, and you know, like Paul's there. Paul, like from performances, deserves to go at this point. You know, that's how I feel. I like Liam knows me a long time, and anyone that's around me, I just call things as I see them. You know, I'm never going. If I didn't think Paul deserved to be there, I'd say I don't think he's ready yet. I think Paul deserves to be there. I think if you're coming out of that group, if you're standing out of that group that he was involved in, he probably like deserves to go now. He needs another level of competition. You know, he needs to jump up for himself as an athlete. He needs that. He needs that like a few tougher scraps, or you know, and that's what the UFC offers, because he's almost passed out the scene here at the moment, you know. So that'd be nice to see Paul maybe in Boston or something. That'd be cool. But that's a smart plan by the UFC to throw a few Irish guys, get the tricolours over, you know.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I absolutely think that's the way to do it. Yeah, and I was just alluding to earlier. I was just saying about the Contender Series. Like, I don't even think those guys should fight Contender Series fight. I think you win the belt at Cage Warriors, you should go straight in. I think that's the level it's at. Like, if you're trying to tell me that the worst fella in each division in the UFC wouldn't get beaten by the Cage Warriors champion, I think that's a whole other level of delusion.
I think the Dana White Contender Series thing, I think that's different. I think, like, you know, to me, that's so the way I went about things is like, I was like, I need to make something happen at a certain point. You know, I was getting older, so I did the Ultimate Fighter. That's what the Dana White Contender Series is to me. Lads that are like winning fights regularly and winning them well, because they're but the lads that are winning fights and winning well deserve to just go in on their own merit, not fighting some random guy on a show to see if you get the opportunity or not. You know, and then other lads that maybe just trying to make something happen. Maybe they've had like 2 wins, but before that they were coming off 2 losses. That's what the Dana White Contender Series is for me. Like,
lads, do you think it gives the Cage Warriors a bad look, knowing that you used to just be you win the belt and then next up you're going to the UFC, whereas now it almost seems like you have to win 3 times? Look at George Hardwick as well.
Well, just I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I think because obviously after COVID, then they're putting all these shows on all the time. I think they've probably polluted the divisions, and they're kind of going, well, hold on a minute, we'll have to obviously learn their contractual obligations to give people fights. So I think maybe sometimes that some divisions are a lot more stacked than others, and sometimes that you're in a big division and they can't afford to bring you on at that particular time, which is the case with Paul initially after he won the belt. That's what we were told. You know what I mean? The whole division, featherweight division, is not really stacked. Let us wait it out a wee bit, and then we'll get things sorted. You know what I mean? Give us a few months. So that's what we were told, and probably the same as George. And we were like, we went out, there's Christian Leroy Duncan. Like, he went in because like the middleweight division is very weak. You know what I mean? The same as light heavy, the same as heavy, maybe the same as flyweight. But there is certain bantamweights, featherweights, lightweights, welterweights. There might be a lot more people saying to the UFC, and maybe that's really like kind of first obligation is to get them in fights before they look elsewhere.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting landscape, and it's definitely one that's tough to navigate, to say the least. But I do also want to bring it back to the guys that you do have on the up and up. Liam, tell us what's next for probably the biggest winner of the night at Cage Warriors in Dublin. Well, one of the biggest winners, Paddy McCarthy. What did you make of his performance? Because that was sensational. And how soon would you like to see him out again? Because 2 flying knees in 1 fight is no mean feat.
Yeah, well, Paddy, obviously, they were just talking about cross training. Like, I mean, we sent Paddy down there to train with Chris for a few days with James and all the boys down there, and it really helped out, and he brought an awful lot back from it. And that's what we're talking about, like the crossing. This is a small country at the higher level, unless we really have to, and the stakes are worth it. We should be here to help each other. And as you say, let that elevator go down and pull each other up. Well, Paddy McCrory's, like, and just after taking him on the pads there now, the fire is burning still. We knew what like, for example, see, before he went to the James Webb fight, he was walking about 86 kilo, and James is an absolute big unit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is.
He is.
Man.
Yeah.
He
So you imagine, Chris, like the night before weigh-ins, that James was able to go to then had 2 Nando's doubled up with mice and all the extras, and still make the weight without doing any saunas or cuts. You know what I mean? So I get Paddy, like, they need to either go down to welterweight or put a bit more meat on, because at the higher level, technique and it's the full package: strength, technique, fitness, stand-up, everything is all instrumental to making you successful. Where Paddy was naive that way, he thought I'll just get by my skill set, and it's something. It's not about its skill set, and there can't be no weak components at this level. And he learned an awful lot from that loss, and he was obviously like end of the day, like, James is a world champion, and hopefully going to be another world champion here in a few weeks. But for me, it was good for Paddy as a learning curve, as an individual. as a young guy, realizing that this sport needs an awful lot of kind of strings to your bow. So he's put an awful lot of muscle on now to strength programs and that type of stuff. We haven't taken over. Like he does stuff in the gym, and he's like very like kind of exciting fighter. He tries stuff. He's confident, and we want to keep him active. We'll put every one of our guys' names forward for the Cage Warriors show in Wales on the 1st of July. Because the one in Rome on 29th, we have Cage Conflict, like a novice show that night, so we can't attend that. And going forward, that we just want to keep our boys active. You know what I mean? Paddy has been approached by like numerous people this week in management things and doing this and doing that because of it. But we know he does that all the time in the gym. You know what I mean? He it's nothing new to us.
I hope he doesn't do too many flying knees in the gym with people.
No, he practices it. We do stuff like I would love to actually have the video or like the camera backstage of us before warming him up. Like we were doing all that stuff and stuff that if I missed that knee, what it leads on to afterwards, and you know what I mean? If he exits, if I missed the knee, there's so much like kind of layers.
I actually showed him that flying knee when he was down training with me. Did he hit James with that before he went down knees? He hit James with it as well, yeah. He hit James, yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. He hit James with it. No, he's solid. The kid's solid. It was good to have him down. Good for my guys to get some training with him. He's like very bright future there. I'm looking forward to seeing how he progresses. Nice kid too. We're willing to learn. Head down, no bullshit. You know.
That's it. Willing to learn and take on, and he wants to be active, and I want to keep him active. But again, he's still only a young kid. He's still only 3-1 in his career. He's still a long way to go. He's saying the Cage Warriors for our few fights. I mean, Brave were looking at him in a couple of our shows. We're looking at him during the week, and we're saying that we signed for Cage Warriors, and it's all a learning process. We're no race for Paddy, and he's going to get there. And hopefully, again, that time he matures to the likes of we have a few, and Chris has a few in the UFC, so he'll naturally progress in at the right level, at the right stage of his career in the UFC. That's what we want. You know what I mean?
And then, Chris, I also want to touch on your guys because obviously, you know, anytime there's a show on, normally Team KF walk out with a winning record. You went 500, you had 2 wins and 2 losses. What did you make of Adam, Shelley, and Leon's performance? Obviously, they were both spectacular in their own right. And then, what was the sort of talk like with Taka and Ryan after their fights?
Yeah, so for me, like, so I'll start with Adam. Just like, you know, I've been saying this to people for a while, and anyone that's been around Adam, even watch how he moves in the gym, he's just super slick, real graceful with his movement, and he finally got to show some of that off there, which was nice. And you know, very happy for Adam. He's starting to get, I think, like a little bit like myself when I fought, he struggles a bit with the like getting. Like, you never get 100%, but 80% even off out there, you know, because the nerves and the night and the occasion on, and that's starting to come right from now. So I'm very happy with that. That was a main takeaway with Adam, was how calm he was with the whole thing, even with the crowd. That would have ate me alive, man. You wouldn't have seen on my face, but I would have been shitting myself. The Leon,
more shitting
a murderer. Well. He's like, Leon's a murderer. The kid's like, he's a workhorse. He's you know, I think he isn't getting enough credit for that fight because I think it was so one-sided that people didn't understand. Before the fight, people thought that was going to be tight, and he just ran through him.
Yeah, like Zambala's a jiu-jitsu black belt and everything at Team Towers, and like they're known for their jits, and like you control them on the ground fairly handily, to be honest. Yeah,
I think it just looked so one-sided that people kind of went, he just battered him, you know, this Taka, I'll be completely honest, I think the occasion got to Taka a little bit, and he didn't show up. That happens too, you know. It's something we'll have to address. You know, we deal with some sports psychology and stuff, so maybe that's a road to go down with that. And then with Ryan, the only way I can explain Ryan is it's probably the reason we love this sport so much, that anything can happen. You know what I mean? It's just, you're winning, you're coasting, everything's going well, and then bang.
Yeah, well, like that was a heartbreaking one because, like, obviously he was winning the fight, but like that's the thing with Harrella. Harrella's one of those people who's in there until the final bell, and like he does have that one-shot power, and like unfortunately, like Ryan ended up on the receiving end of it. But like it goes to show how high level Ryan is, because most of the time, Herella's in this sort of war almost, but Ryan was like
Yeah.
systematically beating him. So like it was a great
I-
performance. I don't think his stock goes down after that, in fairness.
No, I do think though it's a good thing that not a good thing. Fucking losses are never good, but like I think like Ryan debuted less than 2 years ago, and he's co-main eventing a Cage Warriors card. Then so like maybe pump the brakes a little bit, and you see that they had eyes on that fight because Herella's gone to Dana White Contender Series now as well. So maybe a little pump of the brakes, slow things down, and you see how Paul responded to like his first loss, and you just mature and you get better, because of that stuff. And I think that's all part of fighting, and that's all part of figuring it out at this level, So.
Chris, what's sort of next for Team KF as well? Like Liam's after telling us he wants to get lads on the Cage Warriors Wales card, and he's also going to be running Cage Conflict SummerSlam. Chris, when can we watch the Team KF back in action?
So we're going to be, I'd say we'll have a couple of boys on the Wales card, and then we'll be filming up that London card with Webby fighting for the belt at the top. And then I'll be looking to have a few lads on Liam's show. We've always kind of been on Liam's show. I have to give him the belt back as well. But we've always supported Liam's show. He's always like kind of been good to us and got us matchups whenever we need them and stuff like that. So yeah, so we'll have a nice little run now. A few Emmys out on that, but the pros will be on those Cage Warriors cards between London and Wales.
And then I suppose for both you guys, it's a nice finish to the year knowing that November is Cage Warriors Dublin again. So it'll be a nice way. That'll probably be your end of year finish for the pros on both your teams, I would imagine.
We'll probably have all our guys into the ASD band, to be honest.
That's what we like to hear, Shannon. Well, I love the confidence. I absolutely
Let's hope.
What I call no.
Quick last one for you, Chris. If James Webb is victorious over in London, July 21st, are we claiming 4 Irish world champions?
Yeah, Webby's Irish. I had to check this with Shando a long time ago. Actually, he'll remember this conversation. I was like, is it okay if he puts a tricolour beside like an English flag? Like, is that okay, or will it cause any issues? And Shannon was like, no, have a way at it. Fucking the lad's Irish and English, I don't know if a Union Jack would have been okay, but the English flag, he's an English lad, but he's an Irish lad, so it's not, it doesn't seem to be an issue. And he's one of us. He's Andy Townsend. He's one of us.
Yeah, English born, Irish trained. We love it.
Chris, I love the football references, man. I thought I was the only person in MMA that did it, but you're also part of the team. I love it.
Yeah.
Lads, look, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on. We really do appreciate the time. 2 absolute gents. Really enjoyed the conversation. We probably have this conversation a million times over, and it would go a million different ways as well. But love the hot takes. Loved hearing from you guys. We really, really appreciate it. Barry, anything to add in before we close out?
Yeah, last thing, the Ultimate Fighter returns on the 30th of May. You can get it on UFC Fight Pass as well. If you log on, you can get 30% discount, I think it is right now. So make sure to check that out, because that's going to be unmissable. We're all Team McGregor. Bar Liam, you're Team Chandler.
Team Chandler? No, Team McGregor. Ireland's all
Take the piss. No, guys, thanks a million for joining us. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, share, subscribe, smash the bell notification, not miss any more Energized content. And as always,
stay
energized.
Energized show, up the Irish. Been sussing you guys a couple of times. I've seen a couple of clips. I think you've done some interviews with Dylan Moran and that I saw. So keep going, keep up the good work, guys.